not man. Moshe came down from Sinai. He gave the instructions for the tabernacle. And who made it? Man. They made it after the likeness and the pattern that were shown on the mountain, which was a pattern of what he saw in the heavens of Yahuwah's own dwelling place. Yes, this is true. But man made the tabernacle. But we are reading now that Yahushua HaMashiach is such a great Kohen HaGadol that he is risen up even to the Shamayim. And there he serves in Yahuwah's true habitation, where his true throne is. In Hebrews chapter 9, verse 7. But into the second part, the high priest, the Kohen HaGadol, went only once a year. This is Yom Kippur, obviously. Not without blood, which he offered for himself and for sins of ignorance of the people. The Kodesh Ruach, or the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart spirit, signifying this, that the way into the most Kodesh place was not yet made manifest. People call this the Holy of Holies. It's the Kodesh Kodeshim. It's the most set-apart place. Again, we don't really use that word holy because it's got a pagan origin from the word Helios and comes from the word for sun deity, things like that. But the point is, it is the most Kodesh place. And this is saying that way to that most Kodesh place was not yet made manifest while the first tent was still standing, which was a parable for the present time in which both gifts and slaughters are offered, which are unable to perfect the one serving as to his conscience, only as to food and drinks and different washings and fleshly regulations imposed until a time of setting matters straight. But Mashiach, the Messiah, having become a Kohen HaGadol, a high priest of the coming good matters, the told matters, through the greater and more perfect tent, not made with hands, that is, not of this creation. He entered into the most Kodesh place once and for all, not with the blood of goats and calves, but with his own blood, having obtained everlasting redemption. Remember, the nephesh, the being, what people translate the soul, is within the blood. Messiah's blood is more valuable than any goat or any bull, because of the fact that he is the Melech, the king that Yahuwah has chosen to rule and reign forever. So his blood speaks great and amazing things on our behalf to Yahuwah. Now that we understand that he is a Kohen HaGadol, we need to understand some of the principles of what takes place in the Shemayim, in the heavens, specifically related to the end times. We should go to the book of Revelation to get this information. In Revelation chapter 8, verse 3, we see the offering of incense. Remember that the Kohen HaGadol, he cannot come before Yahuwah in the most Kodesh place without incense, lest he die. It says in Revelation chapter 8, verse 3, and another Malach came and stood at the altar, holding a golden censer, and much incense was given to him that he should offer it with the prayers of all the Kodeshim upon the golden altar which was before the throne. And the smoke of the incense with the prayers of the Kodeshim went up before Elohim from the hand of the messenger. And we see here clearly again, our prayers are offered up with the incense. So we need to be busy praying. We need to be busy lifting up tefillah, lifting up prayers to Yahuwah that are acceptable. Remember, on the day of Yom Kippur, the Kohen HaGadol is covered in blood. And it takes a special work from Yahuwah to make those garments white as snow. Now let's go to Yeshayahu, Isaiah 63 with this in mind and read in verse 1. Who is this coming from Edom with garments of glowing colors from Batsra? And we know where Batsra is today. It's a province of the land of Edom. Who is robed in splendor, striding forward in the greatness of his strength. It is I who speak in righteousness, mighty to save. Why is there red on your garments, your raiment? And your garments like one who treads in the winepress? I have trodden the winepress, he says. I trod the winepress alone, and from the people no one was with me. And I trod them down in my displeasure, and I trampled them in my wrath. Their blood is sprinkled upon my garments, and I have defiled all of my garments. For a day of vengeance is in my heart. and the day of my redeemed is come. Yom Kippur is a day of both the time of the announcing of the acceptable day of Yahuwah and also an announcing of the vengeance of my Elohim. Remember Yahushua, he ended reading right before it said, and the day of vengeance of our Elohim. And here it clearly tells us a day of vengeance. Yom Kippur, a day of judgment, is in my heart, and the year of my redeemed. Why? Because the shofar sounds during Yom Kippur to announce that the year of the redeemed has come. What year is the year of the redeemed? It's the Jubilee, it's the Yobel. And I looked, and there was none helping. And I was astonished that there was none upholding. So my own arm saved for me, and my wrath upheld me. And I trod down people in my displeasure, and make them drunk in my wrath, and brought down their strength to the earth. This chapter is fascinating. I would love to just read the rest of it, because it could just touch you in such a way. Just go and read and look for the hidden things within this chapter. It is so beautiful. It's so amazing. But I don't have the time, and I want to stay on a particular line of thought. So let's take this idea that this one who is coming from Batsra, from Edom, and he's got blood on his raiment, he has trodden down the winepress of the fierceness of Yahuwah. And we go to Revelation 19 verse 11. It says, and I saw the heavens opened, and there was a white horse, and he was sat on him was called trustworthy and true, and in righteousness he judges and fights. And his eyes were as flames of fire, and on his head were many crowns, having a name that had been written, which no one perceived except himself. Brothers and sisters, that does not mean no one knows his name. That does not mean that he's coming in another name. What that means is that he comes in a name that no one fully understands, no one has the full revelation of except for he himself. He is Yahushua. He will be called Yahuwah Zedkenu, Yahuwah our righteousness. He is the branch, and we know his name. But we do not fully perceive all that it means to be Yahuwah's Yeshua, Yahuwah's deliverance, Yahuwah's redemption, which is what Yahushua means. We don't fully understand this the way that he understands it. And it says, and having been dressed in a robe dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yahuwah. Remember, it says that the Torah will go forth from Zion, and the word of Yahuwah from Yerushalayim, and his name is called the Word of Yahuwah, the Debar Yahuwah. And the armies in the heaven, dressed in fine linen, white and clean, followed him on white horses. And out of his mouth goes a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall shepherd them with a rod of iron. And he treads the winepress of the fierceness of the wrath of Yahuwah. We know he is going to the land of Edom, to Batsra. We know that he will be going to fight at Har Megiddo, at Armageddon. We know that when he comes, when the Messiah comes, he is going to fight all the nations of the earth. All the nations of the earth, brothers and sisters. You need to understand that this is going to be a historical fact one day. Not because I said it, but because the word of Yahuwah says so. That there is going to be a day when the nations of this earth are going to come to battle in Jerusalem. It's been spoken by the prophets. It shall come to pass. They're going to come against Yasharel. They're going to come against the land of Israel in the latter times. You will see that it will happen. And when they come to wage war against Yahuwah's people, in that day, in that hour, when it looks that there is no hope, that the day has turned to darkness, that the sun is not giving its light, the moon is blushing before Yahuwah itself, and all these things are transpiring, and there is death and bloodshed and war and famine and all these things in the land, when it looks that there is no hope left. And then you shall see the coming of the sign of the son of Adam. And as lightning is from the east, and even it shines to the west, he shall come, and every tribe and every nation shall see him. And when he comes to judge, he comes to fight. He is not coming as a lamb anymore. He is coming as the roaring, conquering lion of Yehudah. And he will rule and reign. And he will judge amongst the people. There is no doubt about it. A day of vengeance is in his heart, the scriptures say.